Oration unit is not responsible for your actions ammonitophaloids mushrooms. This kind of mushroom is distinguishable from its non-lethal, tasty twin Agaricus campstris by its tiny white scales and warts. You can cook amanita without detoxificating it at all, so it is quite easy to serve this baby up to somebody without arousing suspicion. You've got 12 hours to head down to Mexico before your victim gets hit with relatively mild nausea, vomiting and diarrhea. These won't be too bad for another day or so, when they will become bad enough that he will seek medical assistance. But by then it may be too late, and death by circulatory collapse may have occurred. If not, then in 3 or 4 days, his skin will turn yellow from liver deterioration. And how long can you live without a liver? Arsenic, a classic toxin, sometimes called inheritance powder, because it's often used by families to snuff out granny so they can inherit her money before the hospital bills consume it. It is a white, tasteless, odorless powder sold in the form of compounds such as ant paste or weed killer. If the victim is to die quickly, 1 gram of this substance will do the job. In 3 or 4 hours, the victim lays deathly ill, puking and shitting all over the place, and in 1 to 3 days, he will die from circulatory collapse. For a slower, lingering death, feed your victim extremely small doses of arsenic on a daily basis. Gradually, the victim gets weaker, starts losing his hair, his skin roughens and white ridges appear on his nails, Aldrich-Mees lines. The symptoms then increase to include multiple nerve paralysis, hoarseness and a hacking cough. Numbness and coldness creep up the victim's limbs, and over a matter of years, they become completely paralyzed. This method may backfire, because if the doses are too small, the victim's body then has a chance to build up a tolerance to arsenic, and becomes practically immune to the poison. In some cases, a would-be arsenic victim has swallowed arsenic for the first time and had no effect from it. Rasputin, for example, was naturally immune to arsenic. Carbon monoxide, you Nazis can just skip over this section, because you know all about this. Carbon monoxide is a tasteless, odorless gas that attaches itself to the body's hemoglobin to the point that the blood cannot carry oxygen to body cells, and the body simply suffocates. Beginning symptoms are headaches, giddiness, shortness of breath from exertion, and tinnitus ringing. The lack of oxygen to the brain then causes a sort of drunken state, which means that even if the victim knows that someone is trying to fuck him over, he's too wasted to do anything about it. Even if the victim doesn't die, amnesia from the oxygen deprivation will prevent him from identifying his assassin. The latter stage of the poisoning is marked by a cherry red discoloration of the skin, and a breathing disorder called the Cheyne-Stokes pattern sets in. This is a pattern of 30 seconds of no breathing followed by 6 to 8 rapidly increasing deep breaths, and the cycle turns over. After this there remains only convulsions, unconsciousness, a fever of 1080 and then death, usually within 48 hours. If not, then probably between 3 to 8 days later the Grim Reaper will, at last, harvest the victim's life. Even if the victim is hardy enough to recover after all this, he will probably turn psychotic. Carbon monoxide can be produced from a number of sources: smoldering coke or charcoal, a low-lit hibachi grill, and of course, an automobile exhaust pipe. Curare, this is derived from something called Chondrodendron tomentosim. Curare works only as an injection, because digestion is supposed to be harmless. I wouldn't take it either way, myself. Curare affects the human body by impairing the communication of nerve impulses to the muscles, causing paralyzation. Within minutes the victim starts coughing a little, and his face flushes. The poison works from head to toe, so the eyes will droop as the first sign of paralysis, followed by the inability to swallow or speak. When the diaphragm is frozen, the lungs can no longer respirate, and suffocation causes death before any other significant symptoms can occur. Curare is ideal for assassination because it is extremely hard to detect. However, if it is detected, the victim can be saved by an 1 ampule injection of prostigmine. Cyanide works by rendering oxygen in blood unusable by the body. A person who takes cyanide will have difficulty breathing, but will turn bright pink from an abundance of unused oxygen. Cyanide can be derived from bitter almonds and peach and apricot pits. In fact, cyanide poisoning can be detected by almond breath, as well as the skin discoloration. The antidote is enamel nitrite pearl. Heroin, almost an illegal drug, can be used to kill, but heroin is particularly lethal. Heroin is usually caught or diluted with quinine and sugars, but pure heroin is poison. Even a hardened junkie couldn't handle that. If a junkie normally takes a lot of heroin, then cuts back for a while, a large injection of caught heroin, even a dosage size he's tolerated in the past, will be an overdose. Unconsciousness is instantaneous from a heroin overdose. ODs have often been found with a needle still in their arm. Coma occurs, and breathing slows to about 2 to 3 respirations per minute. The pupils pinpoint, blood pressure plummets, causing the skin to grow cold and clammy, and as blood supply to the brain disappears, the pupils, yawn wide open as death wraps its fingers around the victim. Nerve gas. This encompasses several poisons, including tabun, sarin T46, DFP, DCP, all of which work pretty much the same way. These are typically odorless and colorless, and can be either inhaled or absorbed by the skin. These poisons break down acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter to the muscles, which causes hyperexcitability. Symptoms are a runny nose, wheezing, tightness in the chest, salivation, light intolerance, paralysis, and death. Atropine is an antidote, but while early Nazi gases took up to 20 minutes to work, newer gases work so quickly that antidote administration is somewhat impractical. Strychnine. This poison is used as for sadism and torture as much as is for murder. Onset time is a mere 15 minutes, at which time the victim is racked with horrendous muscular convulsions, the kind that pick you up off your feet and contort your limbs until your bones snap. When the victim's spasms subside, just gently nudge him to set them off again. Death by strychnine poisoning is not a nice way to go. Thallium banned in the United States in 1965, this rat poison may still be available in other parts of the world. Like other poisons, this too is odorless and tasteless, which makes it fine to blend with sugar or salt or any kind of food. This stuff takes a while to work. 3 to 4 days after consumption is when it takes effect. At first, there is diffuse pain and constipation, dark pigmentation around hair roots, and psychological disturbances. During the second week after consumption, the victim starts losing all body hair except for eyebrows and pubes, and the skin turns dry and scaly. There are heart palpitations, paralysis, and blindness. Death occurs due to pneumonia and lung congestion. Thallium is like arsenic, in that it can be administered slowly, in several small doses, over many months. Warfarin, another rat poison, but this one is legal here, in the US. Its effect on the body is that it interferes with the blood clotting system. The victim shows signs of bleeding in the form of nosebleeds, gum bleeding, bruises, bloody urine, and bloody stool. There's one problem with warfarin, or benefit depending on how you look at it. It only affects humans in extremely large doses. But it does mix well with porridge or stew, and multiple doses may be employed. The antidote is large doses of vitamin K. RX 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 RX. A doctor's bag contains many substances which are not intended as poison, but can certainly be used for that purpose. Here are about a few potential medical toxins. Amphetamine speeds up metabolism. Barbiturate slows the metabolism. Bubble, yes, a bubble of air. Injected into the bloodstream, a large one, can cause a heart attack. Calcium causes kidney failure, which causes coma, resulting in death. Insulin lowers the level of blood sugar, resulting in convulsions and death. Oxygen. This removes the body's drive to breath. This causes emphysema and results in carbon dioxide narcosis. Potassium gradually reduces the heartbeat to about 0 beats per minute. Look for my other savage files, especially 22 ways to kill a man with your bare hands, money laundering, and card cheats. Greater than less than greater than less than less than greater 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 than less than. If you rush at brain, then don't call these 300,412 Chicago boards. Ripco 528-5020 Apple, Anarchy Freakum, Hack'em Whereas, 96 megs. 2020 769-2020 IBM, Commodore Amiga, 4-line chat, Groovy PD Whereas. Cosmix Universe 588-1957 Commodore, G-Files, Whereas multi-user games, movies trivia contests. Coming soon Wildside II-777-4184 Amiga, Commodore, IBM, 80 to 100 megs, 4 lines, up to 9600 bps. Stay uncivilized. Big Bad Barbarian A Warrior, to the bone. Downloaded from PAT Systems 304-744-2253.